In Writing Radio. I'm Pamela Fagan Hutchins, your host, and this is a show where we talk about real women kicking ass and writing books.
Yay.
And the authentic, complex female characters that they create and how their real life experiences translate into great fiction. This is a copyrighted production solely owned by Authors on the Air Global Radio Network, and I'll get my thumbs pulled off if I don't tell you that. So that's how we'll start. So I want you guys to meet Elena Hartwell.
Hi, everybody.
We are coming to you from the gorgeous, sunny, no longer hailing and
No
blowing,
longer hailing, no lightning, no thunder.
Deadwood, South Dakota. And we're here to talk about Elena, who's had a fascinating life, which I'm sure I'll hope to hear, has really influenced her fiction.
That's why I kill people in my work.
No, that's good. And we're going to also talk about her Eddie Shoes mysteries and her latest release, 3 Strikes, comma, You're dead.
Beautifully done. Thank you for that.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Oh, I'm glad that you're taking the time to be on with me and that you are someone who is comfortable with live video. I want you to tell people, readers, and other humans about your background, because that may be part of why video is not scary to you.
Well, it depends how far back we go, right? I was an auto mechanic, so I don't know how that fits in.
Tell me you've written about that. Tell me.
I've been toying with it. I was a heavy line truck mechanic. I did engines and trannies and in the big 18-wheelers.
That is so useful.
I know. When I was young and thinner and smaller, and it used to crack me up because I could actually sit in the engine compartments. I could fit into the engine compartments to work on them.
You're my hero now,
right?
I'm definitely calling you for some book advice.
Any car that was built after about 1990, and I'm a little sketchy on how they work. So
but I find
the classics are good.
The newer cars aren't as useful in fiction because they're smart. And
I know.
They keep you from hot wiring.
You can get around some of that stuff, but yeah.
We definitely all need to know an Elena Hartwell in our lives. So, but you were saying,
I do have a background of some performance and public speaking. I've been a teacher and a bartender. So if you've been a bartender, a teacher, and an auto mechanic, video does not scare you.
I would think not.
Yeah, and I taught in the theater, so I've done acting, directing, and performance kinds of stuff.
So did you also write screenplays at that?
Stage plays.
Stage plays. Okay.
Yeah. I did write some stage. I wrote one spectacularly bad screenplay.
Good for you. Yeah.
And then one that was pretty good. But here's why I know I'm not a screenwriter. So I had written a screenplay, and it's a pretty good screenplay. And I had sent it in to the Austin Film Festival, which has this great program where you can get feedback from professionals.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, really. I mean, just a great program. And I didn't really think that this was going to sell, but I was, my first one, I was sort of, my second, the first one really was bad. But I was sort of curious about feedback and sort of what the comments would be. And so what I got back was, we really like the story and the characters and good, what dialogue there is good because screenplays don't have a lot of dialogue. Stage plays are all dialogue. Screenplays are visual imagery. We really like this. It reads like the adaptation of a great novel. And I was like, well, clearly I need to write the novel.
That's right. And not just novels, but a great novel.
Great novel. Yeah, it was
you got
beautiful.
Feedback.
It was fantastic feedback. And so I thought, I think this is really telling me the path that I should be on. So that's my screenwriting. Now, stage plays, I've done a lot of stage plays, and I've been produced around the country and a little bit in the UK and Canada, Newfoundland. Yeah.
Is that where you're from?
No.
You're from?
No, I grew up in San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah.
But in your bio, I read something about your cuidado.
Yeah. My first word.
Your first word.
Yes. So I was born in Bogota, Colombia. My parents,
that's it.
Yeah, my parents were in the Peace Corps. And so my very first word was cuidado, which means careful. And apparently, so I spoke very early. I've always been very verbal. And I was about 9 months old, and I'm sitting in the living room, and 2 guys are bringing in, my parents bought this really big sort of dining room set. And they're carrying in this big And I'm sitting there, a little baby, and I said, cuidado, because they're carrying this big table in. So I was telling them to be careful. So what I've always thought is it's why I became a stage director, because I was always telling people what to do. Like,
you were already directing the
I was
action.
giving them, some stage direction of, this is how I want you to perform, bringing the table in.
And I need a diaper change.
And I need, yes, both. That was actually what I was cautioning them about.
So you launched yourself into novels.
I did, after 20 plus years of working in the theater.
Wow.
And I'm often asked, why, if you were at the time successfully being produced, professional houses were doing my work. And
a lot of people's dream.
A lot of people's dream. And I always say, if you think being a novelist is hard, try being a playwright. Like, the only thing harder is to be a poet. Mm-hmm. In terms of sort of getting your work out there. And I sometimes think actually poetry may be easier. It's a hard career. It's very satisfying, but it's tough to sort of break into the upper echelons of being produced. And I also, one of the things I love about being a novelist is theater is ephemeral. And what's fantastic about being in the theater is when you are in the audience at a performance and you're experiencing the event as a live community event. Mm-hmm. That's what makes theater.
Yeah.
Which means if you're not in the room, you're never at the finished product.
Exactly.
So if you're not at a performance, you're sitting on the skeleton,
right? You read a stage play and it's just bones.
It's the bones.
Mm-hmm.
It's the blueprint for the building. And so there also, as much as I loved being in the room in rehearsals and seeing a show open, you go through that process and then it's gone.
Right.
There's something really satisfying about that physical book.
Right.
That you can say this is my work, and it is unchanging. It is what I have completed, as opposed to I've created a blueprint that other people are going to now interpret in different ways. And
there's the stage manager in you again. A novel is just a completely managed stage performance.
It is
in a package.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, that actually was part of the transition. Yeah.
Was it? Well, I know you from your mysteries, your wonderful mysteries, but are there others? Where did you start when you became the stage director of packaged plays and books?
No, I started with mysteries. I always read mysteries. Mm-hmm. It's the genre that I read. Mysteries aren't great on stage. There's a few plays out there that are mysteries that are very successful and work well, but it's not a good genre for the theater. Yeah. So as a playwright, I wasn't writing mysteries, but that's always what I've read.
Right.
I've always read mysteries. And so that was what I wanted to write as a novelist. They work great on film. They work mm-hmm. fantastic on television, mm-hmm. right? Some of the best stuff on TV is, Shetland and Broadchurch and just wonderful mysteries out there.
It's a long list.
Yeah, right. We could go on all day about that.
You can't watch them all. There's so many great ones.
But it doesn't work great in the theater. And so that's why I write mysteries for novels, but not for the stage.
That makes sense to me. So your Eddie Shoes series, for those that haven't read them yet, can you tell us a little bit about the series itself and your characters?
So Eddie Shoes is my protagonist, and she is a private investigator, and her name is Edwina Zapata Schultz, which she decided was a bit of a mouthful. So she changes her name to Eddie Shoes. Zapata is cobbler, shoemaker, and so she goes with Eddie Shoes as her name. And she's a 30-something, lives in Bellingham, Washington, and she's fairly straight-laced. She kind of plays by the rules, and she's a good private investigator, but mostly on the computer, mm-hmm. background checks and things like that. She doesn't really get into violent crime. So in book one, and this happens early on, I'm not giving anything away, her mother shows up from Vegas. She's been kicked out of Vegas. She's a card counting poker player.
Awesome.
And the mafia decides that she needs to, go elsewhere. So she shows up in Bellingham, and really she is the kind of the wild card that draws her daughter into doing these investigations. So Eddie sort of stumbles over the very first, murder or the homicide that they investigate. But her mom really sort of kicks in and is like, we can do this, we can. And she's funny. She sort of is the foil. And so they become the sort of mother-daughter crime-fighting duo.
The picture for me of the card counting mother in bucolic Bellingham with her straight-laced daughter. It's very comedic.
It is. And they are, one of my favorite comments that I got early on when I got accepted by my publisher, and I was at an event, and there was a young woman there who had been an early reader, and she was in her 20s, and she said, I read that first book. She said, I'm so glad we picked up your series because I laughed all the way through. And it was so great because she's like, I love the mystery and the characters and all the other stuff, but like she was able to find humor. And so it was really nice to know, okay, I have readers that can be 20 and I have readers that are 80. In fact, I have readers in their teens.
Your humor reaches across these generations.
Across the generations.
Well, your characters really reach.
And my characters reach across.
Mm-hmm. So, I've already decided that you're a character in one of my books, just based on your background. But where did you come up with Eddie Shoes?
Oh, I love this story. So my husband and I really like to do road trips. In fact, we drove from North Bend, Washington, where we live, home of Twin Peaks, for those of you who are Twin Peaks fan. That's filmed in my neighborhood. And we love to do road trips. And so we were in the car, and I don't even remember what the conversation was. I think maybe Eddie Money had come on the radio, and my husband says, Eddie Shoes, there's a name, like just out of the blue. And I started thinking, oh yeah, okay, well, who would this person be? And my first thought was, it's a woman and she's a little unconventional. And I thought, Eddie Shoes, that's a private investigator.
Yeah.
Like, that is the name of a private investigator.
It's perfect. Yeah.
And so that's where she started.
So the character launched the series
Definitely
for you.
The character.
Eddie Money launched the series for you.
Eddie De Niro, as we like to call him, Eddie De Niro.
Well, you've got Edwina Zapata, and you've got
Eduardo
De Niro.
Yeah. Actually, her father's name is Eduardo. Zapata is her father's name. So.
Awesome.
We'll nod to Eddie Money there.
So you and your husband a lot of times collaborate on ideas when you're taking these road trips, or was this out of the blue?
Out of the blue. Well, it's funny. My husband is a very smart guy, but he's not a writer. He's not a fiction writer. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I love is I can be struggling like with a plot point, and I'll say to him, okay, here's the situation. What do you think? And he'll come up with something I wouldn't have thought of. And sometimes I'll be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to use that. But you've made me think of something else that I never would have thought of before.
It's like, thank you for not being quite as smart as I needed you to be. But you were pretty good.
Smart in the right way is how I like to see it, because he does. He sees things very differently than I do. We're very different people with very different careers. And so he actually... I have had other things where, I'll be working on something and he will give me an answer and I'll think, well, I never would have come on that.
It's nice to have a good story partner.
It is.
However you get them, wherever they come from.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah. Yeah. And he, stuff from him shows up. In book 3, there's some stuff that is basically from his industry. People are like, how did you do that research? I'm like, I walked down the hallway to my husband's office and said, hey, how does this work?
I love that kind of research.
Yeah.
So with the mom and the daughter, I love the idea of this reverse relationship, that the bad influence is the mom.
Yeah.
So with that relationship, is that something you drew on from your own life? Or?
Yeah, I love this. I love when I'm at an event, my mom is in the audience and this gets asked. As I like to say, other than my mother doesn't play poker, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, would run from a dead body, and has never gotten in trouble with the mob, they're exactly the same. They're very different. So Chava, the mother in the series, she was only 16 when she had Eddie. She is a bit of a wild card. What I tell people is that what's true between Eddie and her mother, that is true between my mother and me, is their love. Mm-hmm. My mom is, my best friend. We're travel partners. We're buddies. She reads everything I write. She's my, first beta reader. And we just were best friends in so many ways. And that is what Eddie and Chava had to learn. And that's the part of their arc through the course of this series, is them starting to understand what they have between each other, which I already have with my own mom. And so it's sort of like, so that's sort of what I draw on. In terms of the personalities, Chava really is sort of me at 15.
See, I told you, you're a character.
I'm a character. And Eddie now, even though she's the younger character, is a little more like I am as a quote unquote adult. Yeah. So that's how that sort of plays out.
And so Chava is becoming the adult mother slowly but surely.
No,
she's never going there. She's going to
really
stay there.
She will stay a little bit the wild card, but the two will come to understand. And the way I like to think about it is Eddie comes to understand she can trust her mother. And Chava comes to understand she has to let Eddie find that on her own. She can't make her trust her. And she has to sit back and say, okay, I will let you come to me in your own time when you can. And Eddie goes through understanding, oh, I can lean on you. You aren't going to disappear on me and not be responsible. So
you're still going to be.
She grows up in that way. She does grow up in that way. But she is the one that sort of prompts, like, oh, we could just break into this building.
Well, one of the things that I think makes great fiction in relationships is to juxtapose the roles, like you've done with your Chava and your Eddie.
Yes.
But it's fun, and it's for a reader, even as you're laughing and you're enjoying a mystery, you're also, it shines a lens into your own light. It's warm and humorous and makes you appreciate it. So to me, it's fun to discover books like yours and the depth and complexity that come with what you've done with your characters, your mom-daughter relationship.
Yeah, thank you for that. They are very funny, but there's also a lot of layers, and I think from having been a playwright in that, I like making people laugh, but also at the end, I hope that people think, there's always some social issues in there. There's, the relationships are really key. And so I think that even as you're laughing, like, you're also taking in some of the more complicated issues that are being explored, and
kind of like real life.
I hope so.
Just sneaks up on you.
Sneaks up on you.
So what are you working on now? What's next for Eddie and her mama?
Yes. Book 4 is happening. And that's all I can say.
There will be a book 4, but shh. Okay.
Yeah. I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you. So
I just don't even want to think about that. You have so many things in your background to draw from.
I do.
For the act of killing.
I do. That's true.
So if people want to catch you live, see you speak, have you sign books, what kind of events do you have coming up, if any?
There's different ways to say hello to me, keep track of me. The easiest way they can stalk me. I've never been cyber stalked, so that would be sort of interesting. So the easiest way to find out what I'm doing is my website, which is www.elenahartwell.com. ElenaHartwell.com. You can see my events. I do love to do conferences and book events. In fact, Thursday of this coming week, I have a big event in Redmond, Washington, outside Seattle. But I also do some conferences, Killer Nashville, Magnica Murder, some of those, different bookstores. And I do travel around the country. But if you check out the events page, you can see that. I also work one-on-one as a developmental editor with authors. And I do different genre because of having been a playwright. And I read a lot of different genres also. I don't just read mysteries, although that's my go-to. But also having been a playwright, and I've been teaching for 20 years. And so I do one-on-one manuscript coaching with writers. And so people that are interested in doing that can contact me.
And writers, so here's just a personal plea. Please contact her to do this. We are never as good as we think we are. You need help on that book. You do.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And so where they now know where to find you. Your books are available in All what formats?
Yes, so they are available in paperback. You can buy them on Borders, Barnes and Noble, and obviously Amazon. I'm in most of the libraries. You can also request me through a library. You can get me at independent bookstores. Books 1 and 2 are available through Audible, so you can listen to both 1 and 2. And ebook platforms, all 3 books. Nook and iBook and Kindle and all of those.
Never let a bookstore or library tell you that they can't get a book. Just
they always
be gently persistent, because they can in any format you want.
Yeah.
So you have the right to request. You don't have to take what's force-fed you on the paid-for spots at the front of the stores.
Amen.
There we
Sing
go.
it,
Preach
sister.
it. Preach
Preach it.
Well, I am delighted to have, I guess we were already friends on Facebook, but to have run into you here at Wild Deadwood Reads and to spend some time together. I really am looking forward to your books. They sound like just my kind of thing.
Yay. Thank you.
And for the rest of you out there, here is, again, to talk about real women kicking ass, writing books. Join me every 2 weeks as we talk about these mostly female writers, but I throw in a couple of male that write some good female characters, and how their wonderful experiences translate into even better fiction that does go down better with wine, which we didn't even talk about.
There was wine, yes.
I walk in to interview her, and it's like there's a half drink one under the table too. So,
well, I am from Washington State, and we have some of the best wine in the world. So the old write drunk, edit sober. Does this work for you? I've been doing it backwards.
Well, it's working for you.
It's working for
Carry
me.
on. All right. So until next time, I'm Pamela Fagan Hutchins, and this has been Wine, Women, and Writing with Elena Hartwell.
Great to see you all.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.